A renowned life coach told my husband I was the reason for his failures, convinced him to exclude me from his transformation journey, and tried to destroy our marriage, until he stood before 500 industry leaders and credited me as the architect of his remarkable success, leading to her immediate termination and the launch of my own consultancy empire that now generates 8 figures annually. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from, and if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow I've saved something extra special for you. The marble floors of the Meridian Conference Center gleamed under the crystal chandeliers as I watched my husband, Michael Chen, accept the Entrepreneur of the Year award from the Sacramento Business Council. His voice carried clearly through the auditorium as he began his acceptance speech, but the words that followed would shatter the carefully constructed narrative that had nearly destroyed our marriage 18 months earlier. "Before I thank anyone else," Michael said, his eyes finding mine in the audience, "I need to acknowledge the person whose strategic vision and unwavering support made this transformation possible. My wife, Isabella Chen, was told by a so-called expert that she was holding me back from success. Tonight I want everyone in this room to understand that without Isabella's guidance, insight, and partnership, none of this would have been possible." The auditorium erupted in applause, but I could see the shock register on the face of Victoria Sterling, the executive life coach who had spent the better part of a year systematically undermining my marriage while positioning herself as the architect of Michael's remarkable business turnaround. She sat frozen in the third row, her perfectly composed facade cracking, as hundreds of Sacramento's most influential business leaders turned to look at the woman whose expertise had just been publicly discredited by her most celebrated client. My name is Isabella Martinez Chen, and at 35 years old, I have built a business transformation consultancy that now serves Fortune 500 companies across North America. The irony of my current success is not lost on me, considering that less than 2 years ago, I was being systematically excluded from my own husband's professional development by a woman who claimed my presence was toxic to his potential for achievement. The story of how I arrived at this moment of vindication begins not with triumph, but with the most devastating period of self-doubt and isolation I have ever experienced. For 15 years, Michael and I had built what we believed to be a partnership based on mutual respect, shared ambitions, and complementary strengths that made us more effective together than either of us could be individually. We had met during our graduate studies at UC Davis, where I was pursuing an MBA with a concentration in strategic management, while Michael completed his master's degree in electrical engineering. Our relationship had been forged through countless late-night study sessions, collaborative projects, and lengthy discussions about our respective career aspirations and the kind of life we wanted to build together. Michael possessed exceptional technical skills and innovative thinking that made him brilliant at solving complex engineering problems, while I demonstrated a natural aptitude for strategic analysis, market assessment, and organizational development that complemented his technical expertise perfectly. After graduation, Michael had accepted a position with a respected engineering firm in Sacramento, while I began my career as a business analyst with a regional consulting company that specialized in operational efficiency for mid-sized manufacturing companies. Our professional paths had evolved in parallel for over a decade, with both of us advancing steadily in our respective fields while maintaining a home life that we believed exemplified successful work-life integration. Michael's career had progressed from project engineer to senior technical lead, and eventually to engineering manager, but by his 40th birthday, he had begun expressing frustration with what he perceived as limitations in his ability to advance beyond middle management within the corporate structure of his firm. He possessed innovative ideas for improving manufacturing processes and had developed several proprietary solutions that had generated significant cost savings for his employer, but he felt that his contributions were not being adequately recognized or compensated. I had been Michael's primary source of career guidance and strategic thinking throughout this period of professional restlessness. Together, we had analyzed various options for advancing his career, including the possibility of pursuing additional certifications, seeking positions with larger firms that might offer greater advancement opportunities, or even launching an independent consulting practice that would allow him to commercialize his technical innovations. Our conversations about Michael's career had always been collaborative and productive, with both of us contributing perspectives and insights that helped him make informed decisions about his professional development. I had researched market opportunities, analyzed competitive landscapes, and helped him develop business plans for various entrepreneurial ventures he had considered pursuing. Michael had consistently credited my strategic input as essential to his decision-making process, and had often mentioned to colleagues and friends that my business background made me an invaluable advisor for his career planning. The dynamic of our partnership began to shift when Michael's frustration with his corporate position reached a breaking point, and he decided to engage the services of a professional life coach to help him clarify his goals and develop a comprehensive plan for achieving the level of success he believed he deserved. The decision to hire a life coach had been made jointly, with both of us agreeing that an objective professional perspective might help Michael identify opportunities and strategies that we had not considered during our own planning sessions. Victoria Sterling had been recommended to Michael by a colleague whose own career had reportedly benefited significantly from her coaching services. Victoria's credentials were impressive, including certifications from several prestigious coaching institutions, a successful track record with high-achieving professionals, and a polished online presence that featured testimonials from clients who had achieved remarkable career transformations under her guidance. During our initial consultation meeting, Victoria had presented herself as a seasoned expert who understood the unique challenges facing ambitious professionals in today's competitive business environment. She spoke confidently about her methodology for helping clients identify and overcome the internal and external obstacles that prevented them from achieving their full potential. Her approach, she explained, was comprehensive and intensive, requiring clients to commit fully to a process of self-examination and strategic planning that would fundamentally transform their relationship with success and achievement. Victoria's assessment of Michael during that first meeting had been overwhelmingly positive. She identified him as someone with exceptional potential, who had been operating below his capacity due to limiting beliefs and insufficient strategic focus. Her preliminary recommendations included developing a clearer vision for his long-term objectives, creating accountability systems to ensure consistent progress toward his goals, and eliminating any influences that might be reinforcing patterns of thinking or behavior that were inconsistent with high-level achievement. The first indication that Victoria's coaching philosophy might create complications for our marriage occurred during the third session, when she suggested that Michael needed to evaluate whether his current personal relationships were supporting or hindering his professional development. According to Victoria, many high-achieving individuals found that their social and family environments inadvertently reinforced mediocrity by providing comfort and acceptance that reduced their motivation to pursue more challenging goals. Michael had shared this conversation with me that evening, presenting Victoria's observations as food for thought rather than specific recommendations for action. At the time, I had been supportive of her general philosophy, agreeing that it was important for him to surround himself with people who encouraged his ambitions and held him to high standards. I had assumed that as his wife and closest advisor, I would naturally be categorized among the relationships that supported his growth and development. However, Victoria's assessment of my influence on Michael's professional development proved to be fundamentally different from my own understanding of our partnership dynamic. During subsequent sessions, she began to systematically identify ways in which my presence in Michael's life was allegedly preventing him from achieving his potential. According to her analysis, my tendency to offer strategic advice and collaborate on his career planning was actually undermining his ability to develop independent decision-making skills and personal accountability for his success. Victoria argued that my involvement in Michael's professional development had created a dynamic where he relied too heavily on external input rather than trusting his own judgment and instincts. She suggested that my business background, while impressive, was actually limiting his thinking because I approached his career challenges from a traditional corporate perspective that was incompatible with the entrepreneurial mindset necessary for breakthrough success. More damaging was Victoria's assessment that my emotional support and encouragement were inadvertently enabling Michael to remain comfortable with incremental progress, rather than pushing himself to achieve the kind of dramatic transformation that would elevate him to the highest levels of professional achievement. She contended that my willingness to celebrate his current accomplishments and provide reassurance during difficult periods was preventing him from developing the urgency and dissatisfaction with the status quo that she believed were essential motivators for extraordinary success. The coaching sessions became increasingly focused on what Victoria termed environmental optimization, which involved identifying and modifying any aspects of Michael's personal and professional environment that were not aligned with his highest aspirations. This included recommendations about his daily routines, his social activities, his professional associations, and ultimately the level of involvement I should have in his career planning and decision-making processes. Victoria's influence over Michael's thinking became apparent when he began to express concerns about our collaborative approach to his career development that had never been issues in our relationship previously. He started questioning whether my strategic input was actually limiting his creativity and independence, and he began to suggest that perhaps he needed to take complete ownership of his professional development without external guidance, even from his wife. The conversations that followed were among the most difficult we had experienced in our 15-year marriage. Michael was struggling to reconcile his appreciation for my historical contributions to his career with Victoria's professional assessment that my continued involvement was counterproductive to his goals. He found himself caught between loyalty to our partnership and his desire to pursue the transformational success that Victoria had convinced him was possible if he could fully commit to her coaching methodology. Victoria's recommendations became increasingly specific and intrusive as the coaching relationship progressed. She suggested that Michael needed to establish clear boundaries around career-related discussions at home, limiting our conversations to personal matters rather than professional planning. She recommended that he begin attending networking events and professional development activities independently, without my accompaniment, so that he could practice presenting himself as an autonomous professional rather than as part of a married partnership. Most significantly, Victoria advised Michael to exclude me from any meetings or planning sessions related to his potential entrepreneurial ventures, arguing that my presence would prevent him from taking full ownership of his vision and might compromise his ability to make decisive commitments to challenging goals. She positioned this exclusion as a temporary but necessary component of his development process, suggesting that once he had achieved the level of success they were working toward, our collaborative dynamic could be restored in a healthier and more balanced format. Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now back to the story. The emotional impact of being systematically excluded from the professional planning that had been a cornerstone of our marriage was devastating in ways that I struggled to articulate to Michael. The activities that Victoria was recommending he pursue independently had been sources of connection and shared purpose for us throughout our relationship. Our conversations about his career goals and strategic options had been opportunities for intellectual engagement and mutual problem-solving that strengthened our partnership while advancing his professional objectives. Being told that my involvement in these areas was now considered harmful to Michael's development felt like a fundamental rejection of the value I brought to our marriage and a negation of the contributions I had made to his success over the previous 15 years. The message I received from Victoria's coaching approach was that the very qualities that had made me an effective partner and advisor were now obstacles to Michael's ability to achieve his potential. Michael's internal conflict about the situation was evident in his attempts to reassure me that Victoria's recommendations were not reflective of his personal feelings about our relationship or my capabilities. He emphasized that her coaching methodology was specifically designed to create temporary disruption in order to facilitate breakthrough thinking, and that the changes she was suggesting were strategic interventions rather than permanent modifications to our marriage dynamic. However, the practical effect of implementing Victoria's recommendations was to create distance and tension between us that had not existed previously. Michael began to compartmentalize his professional development activities in ways that made me feel like an outsider in areas where I had previously been a trusted advisor and collaborative partner. Our conversations about his career became stilted and superficial, as he attempted to follow Victoria's guidance about maintaining boundaries while also trying to preserve the emotional connection that had always characterized our relationship. The isolation I experienced during this period was compounded by the fact that I could not easily discuss the situation with friends or family members without appearing to criticize Michael's efforts at professional development or undermining his confidence in the coaching process he had chosen to pursue. Victoria had positioned herself as the expert whose methodology was proven and effective, while characterizing any resistance to her recommendations as evidence of the very limiting mindset that needed to be overcome. As Michael became increasingly committed to Victoria's coaching philosophy and more convinced that dramatic changes were necessary for his professional breakthrough, I found myself questioning not only my role in our marriage but also my own professional competence and judgment. If a respected expert had determined that my approach to strategic thinking and career planning was counterproductive to high-level success, perhaps I had been fundamentally misunderstanding the nature of achievement and the requirements for professional excellence throughout my own career. The self-doubt that began to permeate my thinking during this period represented a crisis of confidence that affected every aspect of my professional and personal life. For the first time since graduate school, I began to question whether my education, experience, and natural abilities were actually as valuable as I had believed them to be. If my contributions to Michael's career development were perceived as limiting rather than supportive by a professional whose expertise was specifically focused on helping high-achieving individuals reach their potential, then perhaps my entire understanding of business strategy and professional development was flawed. This internal questioning coincided with Michael's increasing enthusiasm about the progress he was making through Victoria's coaching program and his growing confidence that he was finally on a path toward the kind of success that had previously seemed unattainable. His excitement about his coaching sessions and the strategic insights he was gaining created a painful contrast with my own growing sense of inadequacy and confusion about my professional identity and capabilities. The transformation I was about to undergo would ultimately prove that Victoria's assessment of my abilities was not only incorrect but catastrophically misguided. However, in those dark months when I was excluded from the professional partnership that had been central to my marriage and my identity, I could not yet envision the success that would eventually vindicate my expertise and expose the fundamental flaws in Victoria's coaching methodology. The journey that would lead to my vindication was about to begin with a chance encounter that would change not only my own understanding of my professional potential, but also the trajectory of Michael's business development in ways that neither Victoria nor I could have anticipated. The story of how I discovered my true capabilities and built a business empire that now serves some of the most successful companies in North America begins with a moment of profound vulnerability and the intervention of a mentor who recognized potential that had been systematically dismissed by someone who claimed to be an expert in human achievement. Understanding the magnitude of Victoria Sterling's miscalculation requires examining the professional foundation that Isabella Martinez Chen had built throughout her career, and the substantial contributions she had made to Michael's success long before any life coach entered their lives. The narrative that Victoria would construct about Isabella being a limiting factor ignored a documented history of strategic brilliance and collaborative achievement that had positioned both partners for the kind of success that Victoria claimed only her methodology could deliver. Isabella's journey toward becoming one of the most respected business strategists in Northern California had begun during her undergraduate studies at Stanford University, where she pursued a double major in economics and international business with a minor in organizational psychology. Her academic performance had been exceptional, consistently ranking in the top 5% of her class, while simultaneously serving as president of the Business Students Association and leading the university's case competition team to 3 consecutive national championships. The analytical framework that would later become the foundation of her consulting methodology had its origins in her senior thesis project, which examined the relationship between organizational culture and strategic implementation success across different industry sectors. Her research had involved detailed case studies of 12 companies that had attempted similar strategic transformations, with 6 achieving remarkable success, while 6 others had failed to meet their objectives, despite having access to comparable resources and market opportunities. Isabella's thesis advisor, Professor Margaret Whitfield, had been so impressed with the depth and originality of her analysis that she had encouraged Isabella to consider pursuing doctoral studies, with the intention of eventually joining the academic community as a researcher and educator. However, Isabella's passion lay in practical application rather than theoretical exploration, and she had been eager to test her ideas in real business environments, where the stakes were meaningful and the outcomes would directly impact people's lives and livelihoods. Her first position after graduation had been with McKinsey & Company, where she had been selected for their prestigious business analyst program, despite fierce competition from candidates with similarly impressive academic credentials. The McKinsey experience had provided Isabella with exposure to Fortune 500 companies across multiple industries, and had taught her to rapidly assess complex business situations, identify critical success factors, and develop actionable recommendations under intense time pressure. During her 3 years at McKinsey, Isabella had worked on engagements involving corporate restructuring, market entry strategies, operational efficiency improvements, and digital transformation initiatives. Her natural ability to synthesize large amounts of information and identify patterns that others missed had earned recognition from senior partners and had resulted in her assignment to increasingly high-profile projects with greater responsibility and visibility. The decision to leave McKinsey had not been motivated by dissatisfaction with the work or the compensation, both of which had exceeded her expectations. Rather, Isabella had recognized that her long-term goal of building her own strategic consulting practice would require more diverse experience than the prestigious but somewhat insular environment at McKinsey could provide. She had wanted to understand how strategic thinking needed to be adapted for smaller organizations with limited resources and different risk tolerance profiles. Isabella's transition to regional consulting had begun with her acceptance of a senior analyst position at Strategic Solutions Group, a Sacramento-based firm that specialized in providing business development services to mid-market companies throughout California and the western United States. The scope of her responsibilities had expanded significantly compared to her McKinsey role, as she had been expected to manage client relationships, lead project teams, and take ownership of entire consulting engagements, rather than contributing to specific components of larger initiatives. The client portfolio at Strategic Solutions Group had included manufacturing companies, technology startups, healthcare organizations, and professional services firms, providing Isabella with comprehensive exposure to the operational challenges and growth opportunities that characterize different industry sectors. Her ability to quickly understand complex business models and identify leverage points for improvement had resulted in consistently successful outcomes for her clients, and had established her reputation as one of the most effective consultants in the firm's history. Isabella's expertise in strategic analysis had been particularly valuable for clients facing significant transitions, whether due to market disruption, competitive pressure, regulatory changes, or internal growth challenges. Her methodology involved comprehensive assessment of organizational capabilities, market positioning, competitive dynamics, and operational efficiency, followed by development of integrated improvement plans that addressed both immediate performance issues and long-term strategic positioning. The success of her consulting work had led to recognition within the broader Sacramento business community, including invitations to speak at industry conferences, appointments to professional advisory boards, and requests from other consulting firms to collaborate on complex engagements that required her particular expertise. By the time she met Michael during their graduate studies at UC Davis, Isabella had already established herself as a rising star in the strategic consulting field, with a track record of delivering exceptional results for demanding clients. Michael's background in electrical engineering had provided the perfect complement to Isabella's business development expertise, creating opportunities for collaboration that leveraged both analytical rigor and practical implementation capabilities. Their initial conversations during graduate school had revealed remarkable alignment in their approaches to problem solving, with both demonstrating preference for data-driven analysis, systematic methodology, and creative solutions that addressed root causes rather than superficial symptoms. The intellectual chemistry between Isabella and Michael had been immediate and powerful, leading to collaborative projects during their graduate studies that consistently received the highest marks from professors who recognized the exceptional quality of work that resulted from combining their different but complementary skill sets. Isabella's strategic thinking provided the framework for identifying opportunities and developing comprehensive plans, while Michael's technical expertise ensured that their recommendations were grounded in practical reality and implementable within existing operational constraints. Their marriage had represented not only a personal commitment but also the formalization of a professional partnership that had already demonstrated remarkable effectiveness through their academic collaborations. Both Isabella and Michael had been explicit about their intention to continue leveraging their complementary capabilities to advance each other's careers while building a life together that honored both individual aspirations and shared objectives. The early years of their marriage had validated this collaborative approach through a series of professional successes that neither partner could have achieved independently. Michael's engineering career had advanced rapidly, partly due to his exceptional technical skills, but also because of Isabella's strategic guidance regarding positioning, networking, and professional development planning. Isabella had provided analysis of industry trends, career pathway options, and skill development priorities that had helped Michael make informed decisions about job opportunities, project assignments, and educational investments. Simultaneously, Michael's technical background had enhanced Isabella's consulting effectiveness by providing her with deeper understanding of operational realities and implementation challenges that many business strategists overlooked due to lack of hands-on experience with complex systems and processes. Their dinner conversations often involved collaborative analysis of client challenges or career opportunities, with each partner contributing perspectives that enriched the other's thinking and decision-making. Isabella's role in Michael's professional development had been comprehensive and systematic, extending far beyond emotional support to include substantive contributions to his strategic planning, skill development, and business relationship building. When Michael had been considering whether to pursue additional certifications in project management, Isabella had conducted detailed analysis of certification requirements, career impact, and return on investment that had helped him select the most valuable credentials for his specific objectives. When Michael had been evaluating job opportunities with different engineering firms, Isabella had researched company cultures, financial stability, growth trajectories, and advancement opportunities to help him assess which positions offered the best long-term prospects for career advancement. Her business background had enabled her to interpret financial statements, industry reports, and competitive positioning information that provided crucial context for understanding the strategic viability of potential employers. Perhaps most significantly, Isabella had been instrumental in helping Michael recognize and develop his entrepreneurial potential long before Victoria Sterling had identified this as an area for growth. During their conversations about his frustrations with corporate limitations, Isabella had systematically explored options for independent consulting, technology commercialization, and business ownership that could provide greater financial rewards and professional autonomy than traditional employment. Isabella's analysis of market opportunities in Michael's field had identified several areas where his technical expertise could be leveraged to create significant value for clients who were struggling with complex engineering challenges. She had researched competitor capabilities, pricing strategies, and market demand patterns to help Michael understand the commercial viability of various consulting specializations and business models. When Michael had expressed interest in developing proprietary solutions for manufacturing process optimization, Isabella had conducted comprehensive feasibility analysis that included market size assessment, competitive landscape evaluation, intellectual property considerations, and financial projections. Her work had provided the strategic foundation that enabled Michael to make informed decisions about which innovations to pursue and how to position them for maximum commercial impact. The business plan that had eventually launched Michael's consulting practice had been a collaborative effort that combined his technical insights with Isabella's strategic analysis and market research. Isabella had contributed sections on competitive positioning, marketing strategy, financial planning, and operational structure, while Michael had developed the technical methodology and service delivery framework that would differentiate their offering from existing alternatives. Isabella's contributions to the business planning process had been essential for securing the initial clients and establishing the credibility necessary for sustainable growth. Her network of professional contacts had provided access to potential customers who needed exactly the kind of specialized expertise that Michael could deliver, while her strategic guidance had helped him position his services in ways that resonated with decision-makers and justified premium pricing. The success of Michael's consulting practice during its first 2 years of operation had been remarkable by any standard, with revenue growth exceeding projections and client satisfaction scores consistently rating his work as exceptional value. This success had been built on the foundation of Isabella's strategic planning and ongoing operational support, including client relationship management, business development activities, and administrative systems that allowed Michael to focus on technical delivery while ensuring that all other aspects of the business operated efficiently. Isabella's role in managing the business development pipeline had been particularly crucial during the early stages, when establishing credibility and building referral networks required careful attention to relationship building and reputation management. Her understanding of client needs and decision-making processes had enabled her to identify the most promising opportunities and develop proposal strategies that consistently won business against larger, more established competitors. The financial management and operational planning that Isabella had provided had ensured that Michael's consulting practice maintained healthy cash flow, appropriate profit margins, and systematic reinvestment in capabilities that supported long-term growth. Her analysis of business metrics and performance indicators had enabled them to identify opportunities for efficiency improvements and capacity expansion that maintained quality standards while increasing profitability. By the time Victoria Sterling entered their lives, Michael's consulting practice had achieved the kind of success that most entrepreneurs spend years trying to attain. The business was generating substantial revenue, serving high-profile clients, and positioned for continued growth based on strong market demand and exceptional service delivery. Michael's professional reputation had grown to the point where he was receiving speaking invitations, media interview requests, and business partnership proposals from respected industry leaders. The irony of Victoria's assessment that Isabella was limiting Michael's potential was that every aspect of his business success had been built on the foundation of their collaborative partnership and Isabella's strategic contributions. The entrepreneurial achievement that Victoria claimed would only be possible through her coaching methodology had already been accomplished through the systematic application of Isabella's business development expertise and their proven ability to combine technical excellence with strategic thinking. Victoria's failure to recognize Isabella's contributions reflected either fundamental misunderstanding of the factors that had driven Michael's success or deliberate dismissal of evidence that contradicted her preferred narrative about the coaching relationship. The systematic exclusion of Isabella from Michael's professional development represented not only a personal betrayal, but also a strategic error that would ultimately undermine the very success that Victoria claimed to be cultivating. The professional foundation that Isabella had built throughout her career, and the documented history of her contributions to Michael's business development, provided clear evidence that her strategic capabilities were not only valuable, but essential for achieving the kind of breakthrough success that Victoria promised through her coaching methodology. The transformation that Isabella was about to undergo would demonstrate that the expertise Victoria had dismissed was actually far more powerful than anything her coaching program could provide. Understanding Isabella's professional background and her role in Michael's previous success provides essential context for recognizing the magnitude of Victoria's miscalculation and the inevitability of Isabella's eventual vindication. The journey that would lead to Isabella's emergence as one of the most successful business consultants in her field was built on a foundation of proven expertise that no amount of coaching rhetoric could diminish or replace. The transformation of Michael's coaching relationship with Victoria Sterling, from supportive professional development to systematic undermining of his marriage, represented a masterclass in psychological manipulation that would have devastating consequences for Isabella's sense of professional worth and personal identity. Victoria's methodology extended far beyond simple career guidance to encompass a comprehensive restructuring of Michael's entire worldview regarding success, achievement, and the role that intimate relationships should play in supporting ambitious goals. Victoria's initial sessions with Michael had focused on what she termed, quote, success archaeology, a process designed to identify patterns of thinking and behavior that had prevented him from achieving his full potential throughout his career. Her approach involved detailed examination of his professional history, relationship dynamics, decision-making processes, and environmental factors that might have contributed to what she characterized as underperformance relative to his capabilities and aspirations. The psychological foundation of Victoria's coaching philosophy rested on the premise that most high-achieving individuals were unconsciously sabotaging their success through attachment to comfort zones, limiting beliefs, and relationships that reinforced mediocrity rather than excellence. According to her methodology, breakthrough achievement required systematic elimination of any influences that provided emotional security or validation for current performance levels, forcing clients to develop internal motivation and self-reliance that would drive them toward extraordinary accomplishments. Victoria's assessment of Michael's relationship with Isabella had been predetermined by her theoretical framework, rather than based on objective evaluation of their partnership dynamics or Isabella's actual contributions to his professional development. Her coaching model assumed that spousal involvement in career planning inevitably created dependency relationships that prevented clients from developing the autonomous decision-making capabilities necessary for entrepreneurial success and high-level achievement. The specific techniques that Victoria employed to undermine Michael's confidence in Isabella's strategic contributions were sophisticated and carefully calibrated to exploit his existing insecurities about his career trajectory and professional independence. Rather than directly criticizing Isabella's competence or character, Victoria positioned her concerns in terms of Michael's personal development needs and the importance of establishing clear ownership of his professional transformation process. Victoria's first strategic intervention involved reframing the collaborative decision-making approach that had characterized Michael and Isabella's partnership as evidence of Michael's insufficient confidence in his own judgment and analytical capabilities. She suggested that his tendency to seek Isabella's input on career decisions reflected a pattern of external dependency that was inconsistent with the mindset required for entrepreneurial leadership and high-stakes business development. During their fourth coaching session, Victoria had introduced what she called the ownership principle, explaining that successful entrepreneurs needed to take complete personal responsibility for their strategic thinking and business planning, rather than relying on advisors or consultants whose perspectives might be influenced by factors other than optimal outcomes. She argued that Michael's habit of collaborating with Isabella on professional decisions was preventing him from developing the kind of decisive leadership capabilities that would be essential for managing his own business and inspiring confidence among potential clients and partners. The psychological impact of this reframing had been immediate and profound for Michael, who had begun to question whether his appreciation for Isabella's strategic insights reflected genuine value or simply his own insecurity about making important decisions independently. Victoria's suggestions planted seeds of doubt about whether his collaborative approach to career planning was actually a strength or a limitation that needed to be overcome through focused personal development work. Victoria's second major intervention involved challenging the value proposition of Isabella's business background and consulting experience, suggesting that traditional corporate strategy methodologies were fundamentally incompatible with the innovative thinking required for entrepreneurial breakthrough. She argued that Isabella's McKinsey training and regional consulting experience had conditioned her to apply conventional frameworks that were designed to minimize risk rather than maximize opportunity, making her advice inherently conservative and limiting for someone with Michael's ambitious goals. This critique was particularly damaging because it attacked the very foundation of Isabella's professional identity and expertise, while positioning her educational background and career achievements as liabilities rather than assets. Victoria's argument suggested that Isabella's impressive credentials actually made her less qualified to provide strategic guidance for entrepreneurial ventures, since her training had been focused on optimizing existing business models rather than creating breakthrough innovations that disrupted established market dynamics. The timing of this intervention had been strategically calculated to coincide with Michael's growing frustration about the pace of his career advancement and his increasing desire to pursue more aggressive growth strategies for his consulting practice. Victoria's critique of Isabella's conservative approach resonated with Michael's impatience about incremental progress and his belief that more dramatic actions were necessary to achieve the level of success he aspired to reach. Victoria's third systematic intervention involved introducing Michael to what she termed peak performance environments, which included networking events, professional development seminars, and business planning sessions that were specifically designed to exclude spouses and family members. She justified these exclusions by explaining that high-achieving individuals needed opportunities to practice presenting themselves as autonomous professionals rather than as representatives of married partnerships or family units. The psychological effect of these exclusions extended beyond simple separation to include implicit messaging about the incompatibility of intimate relationships with serious professional ambition. Victoria's events were populated with successful entrepreneurs and business leaders who spoke frequently about the sacrifices required for extraordinary achievement, including the necessity of prioritizing professional goals over personal relationships when conflicts arose between competing demands for time and attention. These networking environments provided Michael with exposure to alternative perspectives on work-life balance that contrasted sharply with the integrated approach that he and Isabella had developed throughout their marriage. The successful professionals that Victoria introduced him to often described their relationships as supportive but secondary to their business objectives, emphasizing the importance of maintaining clear boundaries between personal and professional spheres. Victoria's fourth intervention involved systematic reconstruction of Michael's professional narrative to minimize Isabella's contributions, while emphasizing his individual capabilities and achievements. During coaching sessions, Victoria consistently redirected conversations about collaborative successes toward analysis of Michael's specific contributions, encouraging him to identify ways that his technical expertise and business insights had been the primary drivers of positive outcomes. This narrative reconstruction process gradually eroded Michael's appreciation for the strategic framework and operational support that Isabella had provided throughout his career development. Victoria's coaching methodology required clients to claim complete ownership of their successes as a foundation for developing confidence and motivation necessary for pursuing more ambitious goals, which meant that collaborative achievements needed to be reinterpreted as individual accomplishments. The psychological manipulation inherent in this approach was particularly insidious because it exploited Michael's legitimate desire for recognition and autonomy while systematically devaluing the partnership that had actually enabled his success. Victoria's reframing process made it increasingly difficult for Michael to acknowledge Isabella's contributions without feeling that such acknowledgement diminished his own capabilities and achievements. Victoria's fifth major intervention involved introducing Michael to business planning methodologies that explicitly excluded input from family members or personal advisors, regardless of their qualifications or expertise. She argued that entrepreneurial success required development of completely independent strategic thinking capabilities that could not be compromised by considerations of how business decisions might affect personal relationships or family dynamics. This exclusion was positioned as a temporary but essential component of Michael's development process rather than a permanent change to their marriage dynamic. Victoria assured Michael that once he had achieved the level of success they were working toward and had fully developed his autonomous decision-making capabilities, he could choose to re-engage Isabella in his professional planning if he determined that such collaboration would be beneficial rather than limiting. The promise of eventual reintegration provided Michael with psychological justification for accepting the temporary exclusion of Isabella from his business development activities, while avoiding confrontation with the reality that Victoria's methodology was fundamentally incompatible with collaborative partnership approaches to career planning and business development. Victoria's sixth intervention involved systematic criticism of Isabella's communication style and emotional responses during the periods when Michael attempted to maintain some level of collaboration despite Victoria's recommendations for independence. Victoria characterized Isabella's questions about Michael's coaching progress and business planning activities as evidence of controlling behavior that reflected insecurity about his growing confidence and independence. When Isabella expressed concern about being excluded from career planning discussions that had previously been collaborative, Victoria interpreted these concerns as resistance to Michael's personal growth, rather than legitimate partnership issues that needed to be addressed through open communication and mutual adjustment. Victoria's framework provided no mechanism for distinguishing between healthy relationship maintenance and problematic dependency patterns, leading to systematic misinterpretation of Isabella's motivations and responses. The cumulative effect of Victoria's interventions was to create an environment where any attempt by Isabella to maintain her historical role in Michael's professional development was automatically characterized as evidence of the very problems that Victoria's coaching was designed to solve. This circular logic made it impossible for Isabella to address the deterioration of their partnership without seeming to confirm Victoria's assessment that her involvement was problematic and limiting. Victoria's seventh and most damaging intervention involved encouraging Michael to develop what she termed, quote, success accountability partnerships with other high-achieving professionals who could provide objective feedback and support for his business development goals. These relationships were explicitly positioned as replacements for the collaborative decision-making process that had characterized his marriage, offering what Victoria claimed would be more qualified and unbiased guidance for his entrepreneurial activities. The professionals that Victoria introduced to Michael as potential accountability partners were primarily individuals who had achieved success through approaches that emphasized individual achievement over collaborative partnership. Their perspectives on business development and career advancement naturally aligned with Victoria's coaching philosophy, providing Michael with validation for the independence-focused methodology while reinforcing skepticism about collaborative approaches to professional planning. These new professional relationships provided Michael with alternative sources of strategic input and emotional support that reduced his dependence on Isabella's guidance, while simultaneously exposing him to perspectives that were critical of integrated marriage and career approaches. The accountability partners consistently reinforced Victoria's messages about the importance of autonomous decision-making and the potential limitations of spousal involvement in business planning. Victoria's eighth systematic intervention involved restructuring Michael's daily routines and social activities to minimize opportunities for collaborative career planning conversations with Isabella, while maximizing exposure to environments that reinforced her coaching methodology. This included recommendations for early morning workout sessions, evening networking events, and weekend professional development activities that consumed time previously allocated to marriage maintenance and strategic planning discussions. The schedule changes were presented as necessary components of the disciplined lifestyle required for entrepreneurial success, rather than deliberate strategies for reducing Isabella's influence over Michael's thinking and decision-making processes. Victoria argued that high-achieving individuals needed to optimize their time allocation for activities that directly supported their professional objectives, which meant that casual conversations about career goals needed to be replaced with more structured and focused planning sessions. The isolation that resulted from these schedule modifications had profound psychological effects on both Michael and Isabella, creating distance and tension that had not previously existed in their relationship, while reducing opportunities for the kind of informal collaboration that had been a cornerstone of their partnership throughout their marriage. Victoria's methodology had successfully created a situation where Isabella's expertise was not only dismissed but actively characterized as harmful to Michael's potential for success. The systematic nature of this undermining process reflected sophisticated understanding of psychological manipulation techniques that exploited legitimate desires for achievement and independence, while destroying the collaborative foundation that had actually enabled Michael's previous accomplishments. The devastating effectiveness of Victoria's campaign would soon become apparent as Michael's business development activities began to suffer from the absence of Isabella's strategic guidance, despite his increased confidence and apparent commitment to the independence-focused approach that Victoria had convinced him was necessary for breakthrough success. The stage was set for the dramatic confrontation that would expose the fundamental flaws in Victoria's methodology and vindicate Isabella's professional capabilities in ways that neither of them could yet anticipate. The moment that would crystallize the full magnitude of Victoria Sterling's manipulation and its devastating impact on Isabella's marriage arrived on a Thursday evening in November, when Michael returned home from what he described as a breakthrough coaching session with an announcement that would shatter the foundation of their partnership and force Isabella to confront the complete erosion of her role in his professional life. Michael had entered their home office where Isabella was working on a strategic analysis project for one of her consulting clients, his expression carrying a mixture of excitement and nervousness that immediately signaled significant developments in his coaching relationship with Victoria. The energy surrounding him suggested that important decisions had been made during his session, and Isabella had initially assumed that she would be included in discussions about whatever new directions Victoria had recommended for his business development activities. The conversation that followed represented the culmination of months of systematic undermining and psychological manipulation that had gradually transformed Michael's understanding of their collaborative partnership from a source of strength into a perceived obstacle to his professional advancement. Victoria's coaching methodology had successfully convinced Michael that his continued reliance on Isabella's strategic guidance was preventing him from developing the autonomous leadership capabilities necessary for achieving breakthrough success in his consulting practice. Michael's announcement began with acknowledgement of Isabella's historical contributions to his career development, but this recognition was immediately followed by explanation of why their collaborative approach needed to be fundamentally restructured to align with the independence-focused methodology that Victoria had convinced him was essential for reaching his full potential. The language he used reflected Victoria's coaching framework, emphasizing concepts like ownership, accountability, and strategic autonomy that had become central themes in their sessions together. The specific content of Michael's announcement was that he had decided to pursue a major expansion of his consulting practice through development of a proprietary software platform that would automate many of the analytical processes that currently required manual engineering analysis. This expansion would represent the most significant business development initiative of his career, with potential for transforming his consulting practice into a scalable technology company capable of serving clients throughout North America rather than just regional markets. The devastating aspect of this announcement was not the ambitious nature of the business expansion itself, which Isabella would have enthusiastically supported and helped develop, but rather Michael's explicit statement that Victoria had advised him to pursue this opportunity independently, without involving Isabella in the planning, development, or implementation processes. According to Victoria's guidance, this expansion needed to be Michael's individual achievement rather than a collaborative project, in order to establish his credibility as an autonomous business leader and demonstrate his capacity for independent strategic thinking. Michael explained that Victoria had convinced him that his previous pattern of seeking Isabella's input on major business decisions reflected insufficient confidence in his own analytical capabilities and strategic judgment. The software platform development would serve as a test of his ability to conceive, plan, and execute a complex business initiative without external guidance, proving to himself and potential investors that he possessed the leadership qualities necessary for building a significant technology company. The psychological framework that Victoria had provided for justifying this exclusion positioned Isabella's potential involvement as fundamentally incompatible with the personal development objectives that Michael was pursuing through his coaching relationship. Victoria had argued that accepting strategic input from Isabella would undermine the confidence-building process that was central to his transformation, preventing him from developing the internal conviction and decision-making authority that would be essential for inspiring confidence among employees, investors, and strategic partners. Isabella's immediate response to this announcement reflected the profound sense of betrayal and confusion that resulted from being systematically excluded from the most significant business opportunity of Michael's career after 15 years of collaborative partnership and proven success in supporting his professional development. The expansion initiative that Michael was describing represented exactly the kind of strategic challenge where her expertise would be most valuable, involving market analysis, competitive positioning, technology commercialization, and business model development that aligned perfectly with her consulting background and demonstrated capabilities. The emotional impact of being told that her involvement in this expansion would actually harm Michael's development was devastating in ways that extended far beyond professional disappointment to encompass fundamental questions about her value as a partner and her understanding of their marriage relationship. Victoria's coaching methodology had effectively reframed Isabella's greatest strengths as limitations and her most significant contributions as obstacles, creating a psychological framework where any attempt to maintain her historical role in Michael's business planning would be interpreted as selfishness or controlling behavior. Michael's explanation of Victoria's reasoning revealed the sophisticated nature of the manipulation that had been employed to justify this exclusion, while minimizing his own discomfort about abandoning their collaborative approach to major decisions. Victoria had provided him with a narrative that positioned the exclusion as a temporary but necessary component of his personal development, rather than a permanent rejection of Isabella's value and expertise. According to Victoria's framework, Michael's ability to successfully develop and launch the software platform independently would demonstrate that he had overcome the dependency patterns that had previously limited his potential for extraordinary achievement. Once he had proven his capacity for autonomous business leadership through this major initiative, he would be able to choose whether and how to re-engage Isabella in his professional planning from a position of confidence and strength rather than dependency and insecurity. This promise of eventual reintegration provided psychological justification for the temporary exclusion, while avoiding direct confrontation with the reality that Victoria's methodology was fundamentally incompatible with the collaborative partnership approach that had characterized their marriage and enabled their previous successes. The temporary framing allowed Michael to accept the exclusion without acknowledging that he was essentially choosing Victoria's approval over their partnership's proven effectiveness. Isabella's attempts to engage Michael in rational discussion about the strategic implications of pursuing such a significant expansion without her input were met with responses that reflected Victoria's coaching about the importance of maintaining boundaries around his development process. Michael had been prepared to interpret any resistance or concern from Isabella as evidence of the very dependency patterns that Victoria claimed needed to be eliminated, making constructive dialogue about the business opportunity virtually impossible. The conversation revealed that Victoria had anticipated potential resistance from Isabella and had provided Michael with specific language and concepts for maintaining his commitment to the independence-focused approach, despite any emotional pressure or logical arguments that Isabella might present. Victoria's coaching had equipped Michael with responses that characterized Isabella's concerns as predictable reactions from someone who was unconsciously invested in maintaining limiting relationship dynamics rather than supporting his growth and development. The most devastating aspect of this interaction was Isabella's recognition that Michael had been systematically conditioned to interpret her expertise and strategic insights as threats to his development, rather than valuable resources for achieving his goals. Victoria's manipulation had successfully transformed the collaborative decision-making process that had been a cornerstone of their marriage into a source of conflict and tension that needed to be avoided rather than embraced. Isabella's professional identity and sense of purpose within their marriage had been built around her ability to provide strategic guidance and operational support that enabled Michael's success while pursuing her own career objectives through consulting work that leveraged her analytical capabilities and business development expertise. The systematic exclusion from his most important business initiative represented not only personal rejection but also fundamental negation of the value proposition that had defined her role in their partnership for 15 years. The practical implications of Michael's announcement extended beyond emotional devastation to include significant financial and logistical challenges that would affect both their business activities and their personal relationship. The software platform development that Michael was planning would require substantial financial investment, time commitment, and business development activities that would necessarily impact their shared resources and household responsibilities, yet Isabella was being excluded from the planning processes that would determine how these impacts would be managed. Michael's explanation that Victoria had advised him to establish separate financial accounts and business planning systems for the expansion initiative revealed the extent to which their marriage partnership was being restructured to accommodate Victoria's coaching methodology. The integrated approach to financial management and business development that had characterized their relationship was being replaced with compartmentalized systems that reflected Victoria's philosophy about the importance of maintaining clear boundaries between personal relationships and professional achievements. The isolation that Isabella experienced during the weeks following Michael's announcement was compounded by her inability to discuss the situation with friends or family members without appearing to undermine his professional development efforts or criticize his choice to work with a life coach. Victoria's methodology had been presented as proven and effective, making any resistance to her recommendations appear to reflect personal insecurity or unwillingness to support Michael's growth, rather than legitimate concerns about the wisdom of excluding proven strategic expertise from major business decisions. Isabella's professional confidence, which had been built through years of successful consulting work and demonstrated ability to analyze complex business challenges and develop effective solutions, began to erode under the psychological pressure of being systematically characterized as a limiting factor in Michael's development. The self-doubt that emerged during this period reflected the devastating effectiveness of Victoria's manipulation in creating circumstances where Isabella questioned not only her role in their marriage, but also her fundamental understanding of business strategy and professional development. The specific business opportunity that Michael was pursuing represented exactly the kind of strategic challenge where Isabella's expertise would be most valuable, involving market analysis, competitive assessment, technology commercialization strategies, and business model development that aligned perfectly with her consulting background and demonstrated capabilities. The irony of being excluded from this initiative while Victoria claimed that such exclusion would improve Michael's chances of success would eventually become apparent when the absence of Isabella's strategic guidance began to affect the quality of his planning and decision-making processes. The expansion initiative that Michael was pursuing under Victoria's guidance involved development of software that would automate engineering analysis processes, requiring comprehensive understanding of market demand, competitive positioning, technology requirements, intellectual property considerations, and go-to-market strategies that were precisely the areas where Isabella's consulting expertise would be most applicable. Victoria's recommendation to pursue this opportunity without Isabella's input represented a fundamental misunderstanding of the complexity involved in successful technology, commercialization, and business model development. Isabella's forced exclusion from this planning process meant that Michael would be attempting to navigate sophisticated business development challenges without access to the strategic framework and analytical methodology that had enabled their previous successes. The absence of Isabella's guidance would create vulnerabilities and blind spots in his planning that would eventually threaten the viability of the entire expansion initiative, despite his technical competence and Victoria's confidence in her coaching methodology. The psychological manipulation that had convinced Michael to exclude Isabella from his most important business opportunity represented the culmination of Victoria's systematic campaign to undermine their collaborative partnership, while positioning herself as the primary influence on his professional development. The success of this manipulation would prove to be temporary, as the practical consequences of attempting major business expansion without proven strategic expertise would soon become apparent in ways that would vindicate Isabella's capabilities and expose the fundamental flaws in Victoria's approach to professional development and relationship management. The devastating crisis that Isabella faced during this period of complete exclusion from Michael's business planning would ultimately serve as the catalyst for her own professional transformation, forcing her to recognize that her expertise and strategic capabilities were far too valuable to be dismissed by someone whose understanding of business development was fundamentally flawed and whose methodology was incompatible with proven approaches to collaborative achievement and partnership-based success. The encounter that would transform Isabella's professional trajectory and ultimately expose the fundamental flaws in Victoria Sterling's coaching methodology occurred during the most isolated and vulnerable period of her marriage, when her confidence in her own strategic capabilities had been systematically undermined through months of psychological manipulation and professional exclusion. The meeting took place at the Northern California Business Innovation Summit, an annual conference that Isabella had attended for 7 consecutive years as part of her ongoing professional development activities, though this year her participation carried a profoundly different emotional context than previous occasions. Isabella's decision to attend the conference had been motivated partly by genuine interest in the strategic innovation topics being presented, and partly by desperate need to reconnect with her professional identity outside the toxic dynamics that had consumed her home environment. The conference represented one of the few remaining spaces where her expertise was recognized and valued, providing temporary respite from the constant questioning of her capabilities that had become a central feature of her daily interactions with Michael, following his adoption of Victoria's independence-focused coaching methodology. The specific session where Isabella encountered her future mentor was titled Strategic Transformation in Technology Companies, Lessons from 20 Years of Consulting Excellence, presented by Dr. Margaret Whitfield, a legendary figure in the business consulting industry, whose career had spanned 4 decades and included leadership roles at 3 of the most prestigious strategy firms in the world. Dr. Whitfield's reputation was built on her exceptional ability to identify market opportunities, develop breakthrough business models, and guide technology companies through complex growth transitions that transformed their competitive positioning and financial performance. Dr. Whitfield's presentation focused on case studies from her consulting practice that demonstrated the critical importance of comprehensive strategic analysis and collaborative decision-making in achieving sustainable business transformation. Her methodology emphasized systematic evaluation of market dynamics, competitive positioning, operational capabilities, and organizational culture as essential components of effective strategic planning, while highlighting the dangers of pursuing major business initiatives without adequate analytical foundation and stakeholder alignment. The content of Dr. Whitfield's presentation resonated deeply with Isabella's own understanding of strategic consulting principles, while also providing stark contrast to the independence-focused approach that Victoria had been promoting through her coaching relationship with Michael. Dr. Whitfield's case studies consistently demonstrated that the most successful business transformations resulted from comprehensive collaborative planning processes that leveraged diverse perspectives and expertise rather than autonomous decision-making by individual leaders operating without external input or guidance. During the question and answer segment following Dr. Whitfield's presentation, Isabella found herself compelled to ask about the speaker's perspective on situations where strategic expertise was systematically excluded from major business development initiatives due to concerns about maintaining leadership autonomy and decision-making independence. The question reflected her own circumstances while avoiding specific details that would have made the inquiry obviously personal rather than professionally relevant. Dr. Whitfield's response to Isabella's question demonstrated both professional insight and personal understanding that suggested she had encountered similar situations throughout her extensive consulting career. She explained that the exclusion of proven strategic expertise from major business initiatives typically reflected fundamental misunderstanding of the relationship between collaboration and leadership effectiveness, often resulting from psychological frameworks that incorrectly positioned external input as threats to autonomous decision-making, rather than valuable resources for improving strategic outcomes. According to Dr. Whitfield's analysis, the most successful business leaders consistently demonstrated exceptional ability to identify and leverage high-quality strategic guidance while maintaining clear ownership of final decisions and accountability for results. The independence that enabled extraordinary achievement was not autonomy from all external input, but rather sophisticated judgment about which sources of guidance provided genuine value, and how to integrate diverse perspectives into coherent strategic frameworks that reflected both analytical rigor and visionary leadership. Dr. Whitfield's perspective on the importance of collaborative strategic planning provided validation for Isabella's understanding of effective business development methodology, while highlighting the fundamental flaws in Victoria's coaching approach that had systematically excluded proven expertise from Michael's most important professional decisions. The contrast between these methodologies would prove to be prophetic, as Michael's expansion initiative began to encounter the strategic challenges that Isabella's guidance could have helped him anticipate and address. Following the formal conclusion of Dr. Whitfield's presentation, Isabella approached the speaker to express appreciation for her insights, and to engage in more detailed discussion about the strategic consulting methodologies that had been presented during the session. The conversation that developed revealed remarkable alignment between Isabella's analytical framework and Dr. Whitfield's approach to business development consulting, while also exposing the sophisticated understanding of market dynamics and organizational behavior that Isabella had developed through her years of consulting experience. Dr. Whitfield's assessment of Isabella's strategic thinking capabilities was immediate and overwhelmingly positive, recognizing analytical depth and methodological sophistication that reflected exceptional professional competence and natural talent for complex business problem-solving. The quality of Isabella's questions and observations during their conversation demonstrated mastery of strategic consulting principles that few professionals achieved even after decades of experience in the field. The specific topic that captured Dr. Whitfield's attention was Isabella's analysis of the challenges facing mid-market technology companies attempting to scale their operations while maintaining competitive advantage in rapidly evolving markets. Isabella's observations about the importance of strategic positioning, operational efficiency, and market differentiation reflected comprehensive understanding of the factors that determine success or failure for companies pursuing growth through technology commercialization and business model innovation. Dr. Whitfield's recognition of Isabella's expertise led to an invitation to continue their conversation over dinner, providing opportunity for more extensive discussion about Isabella's consulting background, professional experience, and strategic insights regarding current trends in business development and technology commercialization. The dinner conversation revealed the full scope of Isabella's capabilities, while also exposing the devastating impact that Victoria's manipulation had on her confidence and professional self-perception. During their extended discussion, Isabella found herself sharing the professional isolation and systematic exclusion that she had experienced following Michael's adoption of Victoria's coaching methodology, though she presented these circumstances as hypothetical scenarios rather than personal experiences. Dr. Whitfield's response demonstrated both professional outrage at the waste of strategic talent and personal understanding of the psychological damage that resulted from systematic dismissal of proven expertise by individuals who lacked comprehensive understanding of effective business development methodology. Dr. Whitfield's analysis of the situation that Isabella described revealed sophisticated understanding of the psychological manipulation techniques that were commonly employed by coaching professionals, whose methodologies were incompatible with collaborative approaches to strategic planning and business development. She explained that the systematic exclusion of proven strategic expertise typically reflected insecurity and inadequate understanding rather than superior methodology, often resulting in suboptimal business outcomes that could have been avoided through more inclusive and analytically rigorous planning processes. The conversation evolved from discussion of theoretical consulting challenges to specific analysis of market opportunities in strategic business consulting that could provide foundation for independent practice development. Dr. Whitfield's assessment was that the current market environment offered exceptional opportunities for experienced strategy consultants who possessed the analytical capabilities and professional credibility necessary for serving sophisticated clients with complex business development challenges. Dr. Whitfield's evaluation of Isabella's potential for independent consulting success was unambiguous and enthusiastic, recognizing exceptional strategic thinking capabilities that were rare in the consulting industry and market positioning strengths that would differentiate her services from conventional consulting offerings. Her professional assessment contradicted every aspect of Victoria's characterization of Isabella's capabilities, while highlighting the extraordinary value proposition that Isabella could provide to clients facing sophisticated business development challenges. The specific opportunity that Dr. Whitfield presented involved joining her consulting practice as a senior partner specializing in technology company strategic transformation, with responsibility for developing and leading major client engagements while building the practice's capabilities in emerging areas of strategic consulting demand. The partnership opportunity represented immediate access to sophisticated clients, substantial financial compensation, and professional recognition that would establish Isabella's reputation as one of the leading strategic consultants in the region. Dr. Whitfield's offer included comprehensive support for Isabella's professional development, including access to her network of corporate executives and industry leaders, collaboration on high-profile strategic consulting engagements, and mentorship in business development activities that would position Isabella for eventual establishment of her own independent consulting practice. The partnership structure provided both immediate opportunity for demonstrating strategic consulting excellence and long-term foundation for building sustainable competitive advantage in the strategic consulting market. The validation that Dr. Whitfield's recognition provided was transformative for Isabella's professional confidence and self-perception, counteracting months of systematic undermining and psychological manipulation that had convinced her to question her own capabilities and professional judgment. The encounter demonstrated that her strategic expertise was not only valuable but exceptional, representing exactly the kind of analytical talent and methodological sophistication that sophisticated clients required for addressing their most challenging business development opportunities. Dr. Whitfield's assessment of Isabella's potential impact in the strategic consulting field was based on comprehensive evaluation of her analytical capabilities, professional experience, and natural talent for identifying market opportunities and developing innovative business solutions. Her recognition provided objective validation that Isabella's expertise was far superior to anything that Victoria's coaching methodology could provide, while highlighting the fundamental misunderstanding that had led to her systematic exclusion from Michael's business planning activities. The partnership opportunity that Dr. Whitfield offered represented more than professional advancement. It provided foundation for proving the value of collaborative strategic planning, while demonstrating the exceptional outcomes that resulted from leveraging proven expertise rather than attempting complex business development initiatives through autonomous decision-making without adequate analytical support. The success that Isabella would achieve through this partnership would ultimately vindicate her strategic capabilities while exposing the limitations of Victoria's coaching approach. The conversation with Dr. Whitfield concluded with specific planning for Isabella's transition into the senior partner role, including timeline for joining the practice, initial client engagement responsibilities, and professional development activities that would optimize her impact and effectiveness in the strategic consulting field. The opportunity represented immediate validation of her capabilities, while providing platform for achieving the level of professional success that would ultimately transform the dynamics of her relationship with Michael and expose the fundamental flaws in Victoria's coaching methodology. The encounter with Dr. Whitfield occurred at precisely the moment when Isabella needed objective validation of her professional worth and strategic capabilities, providing the catalyst for transformation that would ultimately prove the value of her expertise while demonstrating the superior outcomes that resulted from collaborative strategic planning, rather than independence-focused approaches to business development and professional achievement. The decision to accept Dr. Margaret Whitfield's partnership offer represented the most significant professional and personal transformation moment in Isabella's career, requiring her to overcome months of systematic psychological manipulation, while simultaneously navigating the complex dynamics of a marriage relationship that had been fundamentally altered by Victoria Sterling's coaching methodology. The choice demanded extraordinary courage, as it meant prioritizing objective validation of her strategic capabilities over the comfort of maintaining familiar patterns that had been redefined as limitations by someone whose professional judgment Michael had chosen to trust above their 15-year partnership. Isabella's initial response to Dr. Whitfield's offer had been characterized by a mixture of profound gratitude and overwhelming uncertainty that reflected the psychological damage inflicted by Victoria's systematic undermining of her professional confidence and strategic expertise. The months of being told that her business development background was limiting rather than valuable, that her collaborative approach to decision-making was dependency rather than strength, and that her involvement in strategic planning was harmful rather than essential, had created deep-seated self-doubt that made it difficult to trust her own assessment of the opportunity's significance and potential impact. The internal conflict that Isabella experienced while considering Dr. Whitfield's proposal stemmed from the fundamental contradiction between the objective evidence of her strategic consulting capabilities and the psychological framework that Victoria had convinced Michael to adopt regarding her influence on his professional development. Dr. Whitfield's recognition of exceptional talent and immediate offer of senior partnership status provided clear validation that Isabella's expertise was not only valuable but extraordinary, yet accepting this opportunity would require explicit rejection of the narrative that had been systematically constructed about her professional limitations and relationship impact. The practical considerations involved in transitioning from her current consulting role to senior partnership with Dr. Whitfield's firm required comprehensive analysis of financial implications, professional development opportunities, and long-term career trajectory factors that demonstrated exactly the kind of strategic thinking capabilities that Victoria had characterized as incompatible with high-level achievement. Isabella's evaluation of the partnership offer involved sophisticated assessment of market positioning, competitive advantage, client development potential, and operational integration challenges that reflected the analytical sophistication that Dr. Whitfield had immediately recognized and valued. The financial structure of Dr. Whitfield's partnership offer provided substantial improvement over Isabella's current consulting income, while also including equity participation that would provide long-term wealth creation opportunities based on the practice's continued growth and success. The compensation framework reflected market recognition of senior strategic consulting expertise and provided foundation for the kind of financial independence that would eliminate any concern about economic factors influencing her professional decision-making or relationship dynamics. More significantly, the partnership opportunity included immediate responsibility for managing major client engagements with Fortune 500 companies that were pursuing complex business transformation initiatives requiring exactly the kind of strategic analysis and collaborative planning methodology that Isabella had developed throughout her consulting career. The client portfolio that Dr. Whitfield described represented the most sophisticated and challenging strategic consulting opportunities available in the regional market, providing platform for demonstrating exceptional capabilities while building reputation for excellence that would support long-term business development objectives. Dr. Whitfield's mentorship approach contrasted sharply with Victoria's coaching methodology, emphasizing development of strategic consulting excellence through collaborative learning and shared responsibility rather than independence and autonomy from external guidance. The partnership structure provided comprehensive support for Isabella's professional growth, while maintaining clear expectations for performance and contribution that reflected mutual respect and shared commitment to consulting excellence rather than dependency or limiting relationship dynamics. The decision-making process that Isabella employed to evaluate the partnership opportunity demonstrated the strategic thinking methodology that had made her such an effective advisor for Michael's business development activities throughout their marriage. Her analysis included comprehensive assessment of market opportunities, competitive positioning, professional development potential, and long-term strategic implications that provided clear framework for understanding the transformational significance of Dr. Whitfield's offer. Isabella's evaluation revealed that the partnership opportunity aligned perfectly with her long-term professional objectives, while providing immediate validation of her strategic consulting capabilities through association with one of the most respected practitioners in the field. The positioning that would result from this partnership would establish her credentials for eventual independent practice development, while providing access to sophisticated clients and complex engagements that would enhance her expertise and market reputation. The timing of Dr. Whitfield's offer proved to be particularly significant, as it provided alternative professional trajectory, precisely when Isabella's role in Michael's business development had been systematically eliminated through Victoria's coaching methodology. The opportunity represented validation that her strategic expertise was not only valuable, but essential for achieving the kind of business transformation success that Michael was attempting to pursue independently under Victoria's guidance. The conversation with Dr. Whitfield about Isabella's transition into the senior partnership role included detailed discussion of her responsibilities for client relationship management, strategic analysis leadership, and business development activities that would position the practice for continued growth in emerging areas of strategic consulting demand. The scope of responsibility reflected Dr. Whitfield's confidence in Isabella's capabilities, while providing comprehensive platform for demonstrating exceptional strategic consulting performance. Dr. Whitfield's assessment of Isabella's potential impact included specific analysis of market opportunities in technology company strategic transformation that aligned with her background in engineering business development and operational efficiency improvement. The specialization focus would leverage Isabella's unique combination of strategic consulting methodology and technical business understanding, while addressing growing market demand for sophisticated strategic guidance in technology commercialization and business model innovation. The professional development framework that Dr. Whitfield outlined included exposure to advanced strategic consulting methodologies, access to executive networks and industry leadership opportunities, and mentorship in business development activities that would prepare Isabella for eventual establishment of independent consulting practice. The comprehensive support structure demonstrated commitment to Isabella's long-term professional success, while ensuring that her immediate contributions would maximize value creation for existing clients and practice growth objectives. Isabella's decision to accept the partnership opportunity required careful consideration of the impact on her marriage relationship and her ability to maintain constructive dynamics with Michael despite his adoption of Victoria's coaching methodology. The professional transformation that would result from joining Dr. Whitfield's practice would necessarily create changes in their relationship balance, and might challenge the narrative about her professional limitations that Victoria had systematically constructed. The strategy that Isabella developed for managing the transition included transparent communication with Michael about the partnership opportunity, while avoiding direct criticism of Victoria's coaching approach, or explicit comparison between collaborative strategic planning methodology and independence-focused business development philosophy. Her approach emphasized professional development and market opportunity rather than relationship dynamics or coaching methodology evaluation. Isabella's conversation with Michael about Dr. Whitfield's partnership offer revealed the extent to which Victoria's coaching had altered his understanding of strategic consulting excellence and collaborative professional development. His initial response reflected skepticism about the value of traditional strategic consulting methodology, and concern that accepting the partnership might reinforce the dependency patterns that Victoria had identified as obstacles to his autonomous business development capabilities. The discussion that followed demonstrated the fundamental misunderstanding that Victoria's coaching had created regarding the relationship between collaboration and professional achievement. Michael's concerns about Isabella's partnership opportunity reflected internalization of Victoria's framework that positioned external strategic guidance as threats to independent decision-making rather than valuable resources for improving business development outcomes and competitive positioning. Isabella's response to Michael's concerns emphasized the objective validation that Dr. Whitfield's recognition provided, while highlighting the market opportunities that the partnership would create for both their professional development activities. Her approach focused on mutual benefit and shared success rather than competition or validation of different methodological approaches to business development and strategic planning. The practical arrangements for Isabella's transition into the senior partnership role included timeline for completing her current consulting commitments, integration planning for joining Dr. Whitfield's client management processes, and preparation activities that would optimize her effectiveness in managing sophisticated strategic consulting engagements. The transition plan reflected comprehensive attention to operational details, while ensuring continuity for existing client relationships and minimal disruption to ongoing consulting projects. Dr. Whitfield's support for Isabella's transition included introduction to key clients, comprehensive briefing on current strategic consulting engagements, and collaborative planning for business development activities that would leverage Isabella's expertise while expanding the practice's capabilities in emerging areas of market demand. The onboarding process reflected sophisticated understanding of strategic consulting excellence, while providing foundation for Isabella's immediate contribution to client value creation and practice growth. The professional transformation that Isabella was about to undertake would ultimately demonstrate the exceptional value of collaborative strategic planning methodology while exposing the limitations of independence-focused approaches to complex business development challenges. Her success in the senior partnership role would provide objective evidence that her strategic expertise was not only valuable, but essential for achieving the kind of breakthrough business transformation that Victoria claimed could only be accomplished through autonomous decision-making and elimination of external guidance. The decision to accept Dr. Whitfield's partnership offer represented more than professional opportunity. It constituted fundamental rejection of the psychological manipulation that had convinced Michael to exclude proven strategic expertise from his most important business development initiative. Isabella's transformation would ultimately vindicate the collaborative approach to strategic planning, while demonstrating that exceptional achievement required sophisticated integration of diverse perspectives and expertise rather than autonomous decision-making without adequate analytical support. The journey that Isabella was beginning would prove that true strategic consulting excellence emerged from collaborative methodology and comprehensive analytical rigor, rather than independence and autonomy from external guidance. Her success would ultimately expose the fundamental flaws in Victoria's coaching approach, while providing foundation for the kind of business transformation achievement that Michael was attempting to pursue through systematic exclusion of the very expertise that could ensure his success. Isabella's integration into Dr. Margaret Whitfield's strategic consulting practice revealed capabilities and professional insights that exceeded even her mentor's initial assessment, demonstrating levels of analytical sophistication and strategic innovation that transformed both her understanding of her own potential and the competitive positioning of the consulting firm within the regional market. The partnership arrangement provided immediate access to complex client engagements that challenged Isabella to apply her strategic thinking methodology at scales and levels of complexity that had never been available through her previous consulting work. The first major client engagement that Dr. Whitfield assigned to Isabella's leadership involved comprehensive strategic transformation planning for Pinnacle Technologies, a mid-market software development company that had achieved significant technical success but was struggling to translate their innovation capabilities into sustainable competitive advantage and profitable growth. The company's leadership team had engaged Dr. Whitfield's practice specifically because they recognized that their technical excellence was insufficient for achieving the market positioning and financial performance that would support their long-term business objectives. Pinnacle Technologies represented exactly the kind of strategic consulting challenge where Isabella's unique combination of business development expertise and technical understanding would provide maximum value creation opportunity. The company's situation required sophisticated analysis of market dynamics, competitive positioning, operational efficiency, and strategic differentiation that aligned perfectly with the methodological framework that Isabella had developed throughout her consulting career, while also leveraging insights from her collaboration with Michael's engineering consulting practice. Isabella's initial assessment of Pinnacle Technologies revealed fundamental strategic positioning challenges that extended beyond traditional business development issues to encompass questions of organizational culture, leadership development, and systematic capability building that would require comprehensive transformation planning rather than incremental improvement initiatives. The complexity of the engagement demanded analytical rigor and strategic innovation that would test every aspect of Isabella's consulting expertise while providing platform for demonstrating exceptional value creation capabilities. The methodology that Isabella employed for analyzing Pinnacle Technologies' strategic transformation requirements reflected sophisticated integration of market analysis, competitive assessment, operational evaluation, and organizational development planning that produced insights and recommendations far superior to conventional strategic consulting approaches. Her framework included comprehensive evaluation of technology market trends, competitive dynamics analysis, customer segmentation and value proposition development, operational efficiency assessment, and leadership capability evaluation that provided foundation for integrated transformation strategy. Isabella's analysis revealed that Pinnacle Technologies possessed exceptional technical capabilities and innovative product development expertise, that had not been effectively leveraged for market positioning and competitive differentiation due to inadequate strategic planning and business development execution. The company's leadership had focused primarily on technical excellence while neglecting the strategic business development activities that would translate their innovation capabilities into sustainable competitive advantage and profitable growth. The strategic transformation plan that Isabella developed for Pinnacle Technologies included comprehensive market positioning strategy, competitive differentiation framework, operational efficiency improvements, leadership development initiatives, and systematic capability building programs that addressed both immediate performance challenges and long-term strategic positioning objectives. The integrated approach reflected sophisticated understanding of the relationship between technical excellence and business development success, while providing actionable framework for achieving breakthrough performance. Dr. Whitfield's observation of Isabella's work on the Pinnacle Technologies engagement revealed analytical depth and strategic innovation that exceeded her expectations for senior partnership performance, demonstrating capabilities that positioned Isabella among the most effective strategic consultants in the regional market. The quality of analysis, comprehensiveness of strategic planning, and sophistication of implementation methodology reflected mastery of strategic consulting principles that typically required decades of experience to develop. The specific insights that Isabella generated regarding Pinnacle Technologies' market positioning opportunities demonstrated exceptional ability to identify leverage points for competitive advantage that had been overlooked by previous consulting engagements and internal strategic planning efforts. Her analysis revealed market segments and customer value propositions that could provide foundation for sustainable growth while leveraging the company's existing technical capabilities and innovation strengths. Isabella's strategic planning methodology included systematic evaluation of market dynamics that revealed emerging opportunities in enterprise software automation that aligned perfectly with Pinnacle Technologies' technical expertise, while addressing growing demand for sophisticated business process optimization solutions. The market analysis provided foundation for positioning strategy that would differentiate Pinnacle Technologies from established competitors, while creating barriers to entry for potential new market entrants. The competitive differentiation framework that Isabella developed emphasized Pinnacle Technologies' unique combination of technical innovation and customer service excellence as foundation for premium market positioning that would support higher profit margins and sustainable competitive advantage. The positioning strategy addressed both immediate competitive threats and long-term market evolution trends that would affect the company's strategic viability and growth potential. Isabella's operational efficiency assessment revealed significant opportunities for performance improvement through systematic process optimization, technology infrastructure enhancement, and organizational development initiatives that would increase productivity while reducing operational costs and improving service delivery quality. The operational improvements were designed to support business growth objectives while maintaining the technical excellence and innovation capabilities that represented Pinnacle Technologies' core competitive strengths. The leadership development component of Isabella's strategic transformation plan addressed critical gaps in business development capabilities and strategic thinking expertise that had prevented Pinnacle Technologies from achieving optimal market positioning and financial performance. The leadership development framework provided systematic approach to building strategic planning capabilities while maintaining the technical focus and innovation culture that had enabled the company's initial success. The implementation planning that Isabella developed for Pinnacle Technologies reflected sophisticated understanding of organizational change management and systematic capability building that ensured effective execution of strategic transformation initiatives while minimizing disruption to ongoing business operations and client service delivery. The implementation approach balanced ambitious transformation objectives with practical considerations regarding resource allocation and organizational capacity for managing complex change initiatives. The results that Pinnacle Technologies achieved through implementation of Isabella's strategic transformation plan exceeded all performance projections and established new benchmarks for business development success within their industry sector. The company's revenue growth, profit margin improvement, market share expansion, and competitive positioning enhancement validated Isabella's strategic consulting methodology while demonstrating the exceptional value creation potential of comprehensive analytical planning and systematic implementation execution. Dr. Whitfield's assessment of Isabella's performance on the Pinnacle Technologies engagement led to immediate expansion of her responsibilities within the consulting practice, including leadership of multiple major client engagements and primary responsibility for business development activities in emerging areas of strategic consulting demand. The recognition reflected Dr. Whitfield's understanding that Isabella possessed rare combination of analytical capability and strategic innovation that positioned her for exceptional success in the strategic consulting field. The second major engagement that Isabella assumed leadership responsibility for involved strategic planning for Meridian Manufacturing, a family-owned industrial equipment company that was pursuing expansion into international markets while simultaneously addressing competitive pressure from low-cost overseas manufacturers. The engagement required sophisticated analysis of global market dynamics, competitive positioning strategies, operational efficiency improvements, and risk management approaches that would enable sustainable international growth while protecting domestic market share. Meridian Manufacturing presented strategic consulting challenges that were fundamentally different from the technology sector focus of the Pinnacle Technologies engagement, requiring Isabella to adapt her analytical methodology for industrial manufacturing industry dynamics while maintaining the comprehensive strategic planning approach that had proven effective for technology company transformation. The diversity of industry experience expanded Isabella's consulting expertise while demonstrating the broad applicability of her strategic thinking framework. Isabella's analysis of Meridian Manufacturing's international expansion opportunity revealed market positioning strategies and operational approaches that would enable successful global growth while leveraging the company's existing manufacturing capabilities and quality reputation. The strategic planning process included comprehensive evaluation of target market characteristics, competitive landscape assessment, regulatory compliance requirements, operational infrastructure needs, and financial planning considerations that provided foundation for systematic international expansion execution. The strategic transformation methodology that Isabella applied to Meridian Manufacturing demonstrated exceptional ability to adapt sophisticated analytical frameworks for different industry contexts, while maintaining comprehensive approach to strategic planning and implementation execution. The flexibility and effectiveness of her consulting approach reflected mastery of strategic thinking principles that transcended specific industry experience while leveraging deep understanding of business development fundamentals. The third major client engagement that demonstrated Isabella's exceptional strategic consulting capabilities involved comprehensive business model innovation planning for Verde Energy Solutions, a renewable energy technology company that was pursuing market leadership in emerging sustainable energy markets. The engagement required sophisticated analysis of regulatory trends, technology development trajectories, competitive positioning opportunities, and business model optimization strategies that would position Verde Energy Solutions for breakthrough market success. Verde Energy Solutions represented the most complex and challenging strategic consulting engagement of Isabella's career, requiring integration of technical analysis, market assessment, regulatory evaluation, and financial planning expertise that tested every aspect of her strategic thinking capabilities, while providing opportunity to develop innovative approaches to business model development and competitive positioning strategy. The success of this engagement would establish Isabella's reputation as one of the most effective strategic consultants in the regional market. Isabella's work on the Verde Energy Solutions engagement revealed capabilities for strategic innovation and analytical excellence that positioned her among the most respected strategic consulting practitioners in Northern California. The comprehensiveness of her analysis, sophistication of her strategic planning methodology, and effectiveness of her implementation approaches demonstrated mastery of strategic consulting principles that exceeded industry benchmarks for senior consulting performance. The recognition that Isabella achieved through her exceptional performance on these major client engagements established her reputation for strategic consulting excellence, while providing foundation for the business development success and professional recognition that would ultimately vindicate her expertise and expose the fundamental limitations of Victoria Sterling's coaching methodology. The transformation that Isabella was experiencing through her partnership with Dr. Whitfield demonstrated that her strategic capabilities were not only valuable but extraordinary, representing exactly the kind of analytical talent and methodological sophistication that sophisticated clients required for achieving breakthrough business transformation success. Isabella's emergence as one of the most sought-after strategic consultants in Northern California reached its defining moment when Dr. Beecher Khan's Margaret Whitfield assigned her the most prestigious and challenging engagement in the firm's history, leading the comprehensive strategic transformation of Global Dynamics Corporation, a Fortune 500 technology conglomerate that was facing existential threats from market disruption, competitive pressure, and internal operational inefficiencies that had undermined their historical market leadership position. Global Dynamics Corporation represented the ultimate test of strategic consulting excellence, requiring analytical capabilities and strategic innovation that exceeded conventional consulting approaches, while demanding implementation methodologies sophisticated enough to manage transformation across multiple business units, geographic markets, and organizational cultures simultaneously. The engagement carried extraordinary visibility within the business community, as Global Dynamics Corporation's transformation would establish benchmarks for strategic consulting effectiveness, while determining the future market positioning of one of the region's most influential technology companies. The specific challenges facing Global Dynamics Corporation reflected systemic strategic planning failures that had accumulated over several years of inadequate leadership and insufficient attention to market evolution trends that were fundamentally altering competitive dynamics within their core business sectors. The company's revenue had declined consistently for 3 consecutive years, while competitor organizations had achieved substantial market share gains through superior strategic positioning and more effective operational execution. Isabella's initial assessment of Global Dynamics Corporation revealed complexity that exceeded any previous strategic consulting engagement, requiring comprehensive analysis of market dynamics across 7 different technology sectors, competitive positioning evaluation for 12 major business units, operational efficiency assessment for manufacturing and service delivery operations in 15 countries, and organizational development planning for a workforce of over 40,000 employees distributed across multiple continents. The methodology that Isabella developed for analyzing Global Dynamics Corporation's strategic transformation requirements represented the culmination of her strategic consulting expertise, integrating sophisticated market analysis techniques with comprehensive operational assessment frameworks and innovative organizational development approaches that addressed both immediate performance challenges and long-term strategic positioning objectives. The analytical framework required coordination of research activities across multiple consulting teams while maintaining analytical coherence and strategic integration that would support systematic implementation execution. Isabella's comprehensive market analysis revealed that Global Dynamics Corporation had systematically misunderstood the fundamental changes occurring within their technology sectors, resulting in strategic positioning decisions that had gradually eroded their competitive advantages, while enabling more agile competitors to capture market share through superior value proposition development and customer relationship management. The market assessment demonstrated that recovery would require comprehensive repositioning rather than incremental improvement initiatives. The competitive landscape analysis that Isabella conducted identified specific strategic positioning opportunities that could restore Global Dynamics Corporation's market leadership through systematic leverage of their existing technological capabilities, customer relationships, and operational infrastructure. The analysis revealed that their apparent competitive disadvantages actually represented strategic assets that had been inadequately utilized due to insufficient strategic planning and suboptimal business development execution. Isabella's operational efficiency assessment uncovered systematic inefficiencies that were consuming substantial resources while contributing negligible value to customer satisfaction or competitive positioning. The operational analysis revealed opportunities for performance improvement that would generate significant cost savings while enhancing service delivery quality and customer relationship management effectiveness. The efficiency improvements would provide financial resources necessary for supporting strategic repositioning initiatives while improving overall organizational performance. The organizational development component of Isabella's analysis addressed fundamental cultural and leadership challenges that had prevented Global Dynamics Corporation from adapting effectively to changing market conditions and competitive pressures. The organizational assessment revealed that strategic planning capabilities throughout the company had been systematically weakened through years of inadequate leadership development and insufficient investment in strategic thinking, education, and training programs. The strategic transformation plan that Isabella developed for Global Dynamics Corporation represented unprecedented comprehensiveness and analytical sophistication, addressing market positioning, competitive differentiation, operational efficiency, organizational development, and implementation planning through integrated framework that balanced ambitious transformation objectives with practical constraints regarding organizational capacity and resource availability. The plan provided a systematic approach to achieving breakthrough performance while managing the complexity inherent in large-scale organizational change initiatives. The market repositioning strategy that Isabella designed leveraged Global Dynamics Corporation's technological capabilities and customer relationships to establish competitive advantages in emerging technology sectors while defending market share in traditional business areas through enhanced value proposition development and superior customer service delivery. The positioning strategy addressed both offensive opportunities for market expansion and defensive requirements for protecting existing revenue streams from competitive encroachment. Isabella's competitive differentiation framework emphasized Global Dynamics Corporation's unique combination of technological innovation, operational scale, and customer relationship depth as foundation for sustainable competitive advantage that would be difficult for competitors to replicate or overcome. The differentiation strategy provided clear value proposition for target customers while establishing barriers to entry for potential new competitors and barriers to expansion for existing competitive threats. The operational efficiency improvement plan that Isabella developed included systematic process optimization, technology infrastructure enhancement, and organizational structure refinement that would increase productivity while reducing operational costs and improving service delivery quality. The operational improvements were designed to support business growth objectives while maintaining the technological excellence and customer service standards that represented Global Dynamics Corporation's core competitive strengths. The organizational development initiatives that Isabella recommended addressed leadership capability enhancement, strategic planning education, and cultural transformation activities that would build internal capacity for sustained strategic excellence while maintaining organizational cohesion and employee engagement throughout the transformation process. The organizational development approach balanced systematic capability building with preservation of organizational strengths that had contributed to Global Dynamics Corporation's historical success. The implementation planning that Isabella created for Global Dynamics Corporation reflected sophisticated understanding of large-scale organizational change management, requiring coordination of transformation activities across multiple business units and geographic markets, while maintaining operational continuity and customer service excellence throughout the implementation period. The implementation approach included detailed timeline development, resource allocation planning, risk management protocols, and performance measurement systems that would ensure effective execution of strategic transformation initiatives. The presentation of Isabella's strategic transformation plan to Global Dynamics Corporation's Board of Directors and Executive Leadership Team represented the culmination of 6 months of intensive analytical work and strategic planning that had required coordination of research activities across multiple consulting teams, while maintaining analytical coherence and strategic integration throughout the engagement. The presentation demonstrated Isabella's exceptional ability to communicate complex strategic concepts and comprehensive transformation plans to senior executive audiences with clarity and persuasiveness that generated immediate commitment to implementation execution. The Board of Directors' response to Isabella's strategic transformation plan exceeded all expectations for strategic consulting engagement outcomes, resulting in unanimous approval of the comprehensive transformation initiative along with authorization for implementation budget that represented the largest strategic consulting engagement in the firm's history. The board's enthusiasm for Isabella's strategic planning reflected their recognition that her analysis had identified specific pathways to competitive advantage recovery that had been overlooked by previous consulting engagements and internal strategic planning efforts. The implementation of Isabella's strategic transformation plan for Global Dynamics Corporation began immediately following board approval, with Isabella assuming direct responsibility for coordinating transformation activities across all business units and geographic markets, while maintaining strategic oversight that would ensure consistent execution of strategic positioning initiatives and operational efficiency improvements. The implementation leadership role provided Isabella with unprecedented visibility within the business community, while demonstrating her capabilities for managing complex organizational change initiatives at the highest levels of business leadership. The results that Global Dynamics Corporation achieved through implementation of Isabella's strategic transformation plan established new benchmarks for strategic consulting effectiveness, while validating her analytical methodology and strategic planning approach. The company's financial performance improved dramatically within the first year of implementation, With revenue growth resuming, profit margins expanding, market share recovering, and competitive positioning strengthening across all major business sectors. The specific outcomes included revenue growth of 37% during the first year of implementation, profit margin improvement of 12 percentage points, market share recovery that restored Global Dynamics Corporation's leadership position in 4 of their 7 core technology sectors, and operational efficiency gains that reduced costs while improving customer satisfaction ratings and employee engagement scores. The comprehensive nature of the performance improvement validated Isabella's integrated approach to strategic transformation planning and implementation execution. The recognition that Isabella achieved through her leadership of the Global Dynamics Corporation transformation extended far beyond the consulting industry to encompass acknowledgement from business media, industry associations, and academic institutions that established her reputation as one of the most effective strategic consultants in the country. The visibility generated by this engagement created demand for Isabella's strategic consulting services that exceeded the capacity of Dr. Whitfield's practice, while positioning Isabella for establishment of independent consulting operations that would leverage her exceptional reputation and proven track record. The success of the Global Dynamics Corporation engagement demonstrated conclusively that Isabella's strategic consulting capabilities represented exceptional talent and analytical sophistication that contradicted every aspect of Victoria Sterling's assessment regarding her professional limitations and relationship impact. The transformation that Isabella had achieved through her partnership with Dr. Whitfield proved that collaborative strategic planning methodology produced superior outcomes compared to independence-focused approaches to business development and organizational leadership. The validation that Isabella received through the Global Dynamics Corporation engagement provided objective evidence that her expertise was not only valuable but essential for achieving breakthrough business transformation success. The recognition established foundation for the professional independence and market leadership that would ultimately vindicate her strategic capabilities, while exposing the fundamental limitations of coaching methodologies that systematically excluded proven expertise from major business development initiatives. The extraordinary success of Isabella's Global Dynamics Corporation transformation created unprecedented demand for her strategic consulting expertise, while establishing her reputation as a transformational business strategist whose analytical capabilities and implementation methodologies exceeded conventional consulting approaches. The recognition generated by this landmark engagement positioned Isabella at the center of Northern California's business development community, attracting opportunities for professional collaboration and strategic partnership that would expand her influence throughout the technology and manufacturing sectors. Dr. Margaret Whitfield's assessment of Isabella's market positioning following the Global Dynamics Corporation engagement reflected recognition that her protégé had achieved the level of professional excellence and industry credibility that warranted establishment of independent consulting operations, capable of serving the most sophisticated and demanding clients in the regional market. The conversation regarding Isabella's transition to independent practice represented validation of her exceptional capabilities, while acknowledging that her continued growth required operational autonomy and strategic flexibility beyond what partnership arrangements could provide. The strategic planning process that Isabella undertook for establishing her independent consulting practice demonstrated the same analytical rigor and comprehensive methodology that had characterized her client engagements, requiring systematic evaluation of market opportunities, competitive positioning strategies, operational infrastructure requirements, and business development approaches that would optimize her impact while ensuring sustainable financial performance and professional growth. The business planning process reflected sophisticated understanding of strategic consulting market dynamics, while leveraging the reputation and client relationships that she had developed through her partnership with Dr. Whitfield. Isabella's analysis of the strategic consulting market revealed significant opportunities for differentiation through specialized focus on technology company transformation and manufacturing sector strategic repositioning, areas where her unique combination of analytical expertise and implementation experience provided competitive advantages that would be difficult for established consulting firms to replicate. The market assessment identified growing demand for comprehensive strategic transformation services that addressed both strategic positioning and operational execution challenges through integrated consulting approaches. The competitive landscape analysis that Isabella conducted revealed that most established consulting firms emphasized either strategic planning or implementation execution, rather than providing comprehensive integration of analytical planning and systematic implementation management. The market positioning opportunity that emerged from this analysis would allow Isabella to establish competitive differentiation through her proven ability to develop sophisticated strategic frameworks while ensuring effective execution that delivered measurable business transformation outcomes. The business model that Isabella developed for her independent consulting practice emphasized premium positioning and selective client engagement, focusing on complex strategic transformation challenges that required exceptional analytical capabilities and comprehensive implementation expertise. The pricing strategy reflected the extraordinary value creation potential of her consulting approach while ensuring that client relationships would be characterized by mutual respect and shared commitment to achieving breakthrough business performance, rather than transactional service delivery arrangements. The operational infrastructure that Isabella established for her consulting practice included sophisticated analytical capabilities, comprehensive research resources, and systematic project management methodologies that would enable effective engagement management across multiple concurrent client relationships, while maintaining the quality standards and strategic innovation that had characterized her work at Drive Whitfield's firm. The operational design balanced efficiency considerations with flexibility requirements that would support customized approach development for diverse client challenges and industry contexts. The client development strategy that Isabella implemented leveraged the professional network and industry recognition that she had built through her previous consulting engagements, while establishing systematic business development processes that would identify and attract clients whose strategic transformation challenges aligned with her expertise and methodological approach. The business development framework emphasized relationship building and reputation development rather than aggressive marketing approaches that might compromise the premium positioning and selective engagement philosophy that characterized her consulting practice. The first independent client engagement that validated Isabella's strategic positioning involved comprehensive business model innovation planning for Apex Systems Integration, a technology services company that was pursuing market leadership in enterprise software implementation and systems integration services. The engagement required sophisticated analysis of market dynamics, competitive positioning opportunities, and operational optimization strategies that would enable Apex Systems Integration to achieve sustainable competitive advantage while expanding their market presence throughout the Western United States. Apex Systems Integration represented exactly the kind of strategic consulting challenge where Isabella's expertise would provide maximum value creation potential, requiring integration of technology market analysis, competitive assessment, operational efficiency improvement, and organizational development planning that aligned with her proven methodological approach, while providing opportunity to demonstrate the exceptional outcomes that resulted from comprehensive strategic transformation consulting. The engagement established immediate credibility for Isabella's independent practice, while validating her market positioning and competitive differentiation strategy. The strategic analysis that Isabella conducted for Apex Systems Integration revealed fundamental positioning opportunities that had been overlooked by previous consulting engagements and internal strategic planning efforts, demonstrating her exceptional ability to identify leverage points for competitive advantage that would enable breakthrough market performance and sustainable business growth. The insights generated through her analysis provided foundation for strategic repositioning that would differentiate Apex Systems Integration from established competitors while creating barriers to entry for potential new market entrants. The implementation of Isabella's strategic recommendations for Apex Systems Integration produced results that exceeded all performance projections while establishing new benchmarks for technology services industry transformation. The company's revenue growth, market share expansion, and competitive positioning improvement validated Isabella's consulting methodology while generating recognition within the business community that attracted additional client engagement opportunities and strategic partnership proposals from other consulting professionals. The second major independent engagement that demonstrated Isabella's exceptional consulting capabilities involved strategic transformation planning for North Star Manufacturing Group, a diversified industrial equipment manufacturer that was pursuing international expansion while simultaneously addressing competitive pressure from overseas manufacturers and domestic market consolidation trends. The engagement required comprehensive analysis of global market dynamics, competitive positioning strategies, and operational optimization approaches that would enable sustainable international growth while protecting domestic market share and maintaining profitability. North Star Manufacturing Group presented strategic consulting challenges that required adaptation of Isabella's analytical methodology for international business development contexts, while maintaining the comprehensive approach to strategic planning and implementation execution that had proven effective for domestic market engagements. The international expansion component added complexity regarding regulatory compliance, cultural considerations, and operational infrastructure requirements that tested Isabella's ability to develop innovative solutions for sophisticated business development challenges. Isabella's analysis of North Star Manufacturing Group's international expansion opportunity revealed strategic positioning approaches and operational methodologies that would enable successful global growth while leveraging existing manufacturing capabilities and quality reputation. The strategic planning process included comprehensive evaluation of target market characteristics, competitive landscape assessment, regulatory compliance requirements, operational infrastructure needs, and financial planning considerations that provided systematic framework for international expansion execution. The results achieved by North Star Manufacturing Group through implementation of Isabella's international expansion strategy established her reputation for strategic consulting excellence in global business development, while demonstrating the broad applicability of her analytical methodology across diverse industry sectors and market contexts. The success of this engagement generated additional opportunities for international consulting work, while positioning Isabella as one of the most effective strategic consultants for companies pursuing global market expansion. The recognition that Isabella achieved through these independent consulting successes attracted attention from business media organizations, industry associations, and academic institutions that sought her expertise for speaking engagements, advisory board positions, and strategic planning consultation on complex business development challenges. The visibility generated through these professional activities expanded Isabella's influence throughout the regional business community, while establishing her reputation as a thought leader in strategic transformation consulting. Up next, you've got two more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any upload from us.